BKSS 9.0 worth over 1 billion ringgit. Greater opportunities for women through technology. Shorter working hours by 2023. Those are the headlines for tonight. I'm Handy Gui and this is TVS Nightline. Now, the recent implementation of the 9th Sarawak Kusayang Special Aid or BKSS 9.0 that was announced by the Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg earlier today has gained positive feedbacks from the public. Earlier today, we had our reporter on the ground, Diana Jaya Sealand, to speak with the general public regarding the announcement of the recent BKSS 9.0. Let's take a look.
It's good because it really helps, especially right now the inflation rate going up, so everything expensive. From what I understand, some rebates on the water bill, electricity bills. So yes, it does help a lot, and especially for like small businesses as well. Not just for the Sarawak citizen, but for business. So that's it.
Meanwhile, according to Muhammad Hidayat, the discounts on electricity and water bills will definitely reduce the burden of the people, in particular the B40 group.
Mungkin dapat mengurangkan beban bagi pendapatan yang gaji yang rendah lah, untuk membantu setidaknya mengurangkan beban setidaknya untuk membayar seperti bil elektrik, bil api. Kita tahu kan, Sarawak kita memang kerajaan negeri Sarawak memang patut membantu rakyat dan masyarakat yang dapat income yang berpendapatan yang rendah lah.
Every month we pay the electric and water bill cheaper than before. It's good for us lah, especially B40.
Diskaun yang beri 25% kan, baguslah untuk rakyat yang dapat mengurangkan beban semua kita. Saya pun sebagai pengguna, kami lah sebagai pengguna pun rasa bebannya memang kurang sikit lah. Ya, sebelum tu orang ada komplain kan naiknya bil elektrik naik lah apalah, tapi bila dah diumum menteri tu mungkin dapat membantulah kita semua.
As such a measure was welcome due to the challenging moment. The recently announced BKSS 9.0 worth more than 1 billion ringgit consists of 5 measures in an effort to lessen the burden of those affected by the rising cost of living. Premier of Sarawak, Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg said, among the 5 measures are the continued discounts for monthly electricity and water bills, which are extended from July to December this year. He further reiterated that the Sarawak government will continue with the initiative to provide 5 to 25% discount on monthly electricity bills of domestic households and commercial and industrial users, including food operators and retailers, which is set to benefit 685,000 account holders statewide, involving a cost of 201.76 million ringgit.
Langkah pertama, diskaun bil elektrik. Kerajaan Sarawak akan meneruskan inisiatif pemberian diskaun 5% sehingga 25% ke atas bil elektrik bulanan kepada pengguna domestik, komersial dan industri, termasuklah pengusaha dan peruncit makanan. Langkah kedua, diskaun bil air. Diskaun 10% hingga 25% ke atas bil air bulanan untuk pengguna domestik, komersial dan industri diteruskan mulai Julai hingga Disember 2022.
Aside from that, Abang Johari said discount of 25% will be given for assessment rates exceeding 400 ringgit a year and 30% discount for assessment rates below 400 ringgit for residential, commercial, industrial, and special holdings from July to December this year. Meanwhile, the fourth package includes discounts for rental of stalls and markets under the purview of local authorities.
Langkah keempat, diskaun 50% sewa pasar dan gerai. Diskaun 50% sewa pasar dan gerai pihak berkuasa tempatan PBT untuk peniaga dan penjaja diteruskan bagi bulan Julai hingga Disember 2022. Bantuan ini akan memberi manfaat kepada lebih daripada 10,000 penjaja yang berdaftar yang menyewa pasar dan gerai di bawah PBT.
He further explained that the discounts will also apply to those registered under statutory bodies, namely the Land Custody and Development Authority (LCDA) and the Sarawak Economic Development Corporation (SEDC), costing the government 1.73 million ringgit. Meanwhile, a new measure was outlined by the Premier which will allow contractors involved in public construction projects in Sarawak an extension of time EOT of up to maximum of 6 months subject to the conditions stipulated by their respective agencies. The implementation of variation of price VOP 2.0 special provisions aim to cater for the increase in price of construction materials for all state-funded projects to ensure the delivery of the projects. Adding further, Abang Johari said there are 15 additional materials for building works added to VOP 2.0, namely RC square pile, concrete, steel, bricks and walls, glass, aggregate, ceiling, paint, sand, plumbing materials, floor and wall tiles, sanitary fittings, timber, ironmongeries, and roofing materials.
Ongoing contracts with letter of acceptance LOA issued between 1st January 2021 until 31st December 2021.
The state government is estimated to bear the cost of approximately 700 million ringgit for allowing the variation of price. He said so when announcing the BKSS 9.0 in a special press conference held at Wisma Bapa Malaysia on Monday, August 29th. Identifying the importance of technology and roles in supporting the development of women's capacities and resources were highlighted at a talk earlier today. The event held in collaboration between Angkatan Zaman Mansang Sarawak or AZAM and American Corner Sarawak saw renowned speakers from various local and governmental organizations. The event itself was officiated by the chairman of Angkatan Zaman Mansang Sarawak, or better known as AZAM, William Peter Nior, and attended by the Cultural Affairs Officer of the U.S. Embassy, Ms. Catherine Diop, and Senior Advisor of the U.S. Embassy, Riazurrahman Sadayan, including several other speaker panelists from various local and governmental organizations. American Corner Sarawak has been vital in organizing education outreaches and programs that encourage and support young makers and creators through access to technology and other resources. Since 2004, the embassy had partnered with Pustaka Negeri Sarawak to host the American Corner AC Sarawak, a platform for Sarawakians to visit and learn more about the United States and the U.S.-Malaysia partnership. Compared to the last visit, which discusses on the U.S. government's desire to strengthen the U.S.-Sarawak Public Health Partnership, Mrs. Diop and Mrs. Finlayson took the time to explain how this program provides a wider understanding of how technology plays a variety of roles in supporting the development of women's capacities and resources.
And I think when we look at the different programs and speakers and different grants that we do under this campaign, we really are looking to the needs of the different groups, whether it be girls and learning more about STEM education, or whether it be women entrepreneurs building skills and really leveling up their businesses using technology, harnessing technology, even looking at women in government, et cetera, and how they can really harness the power of technology.
What I propose is that we need to really focus on creating both the opportunities, reducing barriers, making workplaces more equitable so women not only join tech, but stay in tech. And we need to create that, a better environment for people to participate and persist.
One of the key highlights that was touched in the talk by Ms. Finlayson is that while maintaining our focus on the experience of women in tech, it is important to promote practices that will enable more inequitable workplaces and to foster the development of diverse teams, which are integral to innovating technology products and services that are inclusive and effective for all. So for more information on these topics, do visit www.azam.org.my. My name is Diana Jayasilan and cameraman Nasrullah reporting for TVS.
Coming up right after the break, floods claim 15 more lives in Pakistan. Employees entitled to wages and overtime. Right here on TVS Nightline, stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, working long hours has been a topic of contention for many years. The journal Environment International, the first global study published in 2021, drew on data from 194 countries, highlighting that working 55 hours or more a week is associated with a 35% higher risk of stroke and a 17% higher risk of dying from heart disease, compared with a 35 to 40-hour working week.
We have some evidence that shows that when countries go into national lockdown, the numbers of hours work increased by about 10%. We also have coming about through the economic crisis and people working home, we have a digitization, right? A sort of massive increase in digitization of work. And digitization of work might actually make it harder to disconnect.
As such, the loss of life associated with longer working hours showed that 745,000 people died from stroke and heart disease associated with long working hours in 2016. It also showed that people living in Southeast Asia were among those most affected. Now, in Malaysia, enforcement of amendments to the Employment Act 1955 to provide for shorter working hours has been postponed to January 1st next year from its earlier scheduled date of September 1st, 2022. And according to Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan, the matter was decided by the Cabinet after industries and employers unanimously requested for a postponement. He said, engagement sessions with stakeholders found that industry players, especially employers, needed a bit more time for the amendments to come into force because they were still dealing with the issue of shortage of foreign workers and were recovering from the pandemic. Saravanan said the restrictions imposed on the entry of foreign workers in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic had resulted in a shortage of manpower in industries. He said, although Malaysia now allowed foreign workers to enter again, the process of fulfilling the manpower needs of industry would take time. Previously, the amendments were approved by Parliament in March this year, and Saravanan had earlier said that the amended law would be enforced on September 1st. In employment agreements, the employee may agree to overtime and be entitled to payment. If you are an employee covered by Employment Act 1955, you're entitled to payment so long as you work more than the time provided by the Act. To illuminate on the matter, Benedict Wisarina, an economist, will be explaining on how overtime can boost productivity.
Yes, I definitely think it would. As I said earlier about the debate between real wages and nominal wages, although nominal wages has increased to 2,000 ringgit, yet what you are really getting, the value for money that you get from your salary is actually not 2,000 ringgit. The purchasing power is that 2,000 ringgit able to purchase you the same goods and services that you were able to purchase, let's say, 2 years ago. Unfortunately, no, because of the rise in prices due to inflation.
The rules and regulations for working hours in Malaysia pursuant to Section 60A EA 1995 are as follows. Every 5 consecutive hours followed by a rest period not less than 30 minutes. A maximum of 8 hours of work in one day based on a 6-day working week, or maximum 9 hours in one day based on a 5-day working week. A maximum of 10 hours in a spread over period, 10 consecutive hours from the time the employee commences work for the day, inclusive of any periods of rest or leisure. Exceptionally, if the work is of a continuous nature, such as shift work, it can be 8 consecutive hours with a paid period of rest of more than 45 minutes. A maximum of 48 hours in a week over any period of 3 weeks. Thank you for staying with us. Now on to some global affairs. Pakistan's northwestern province saw at least 15 deaths following landslides and floods that hit the area. Authorities renewed a call for evacuations amid a high alert flood in the Kabul River in the wake of an unprecedented rains. According to government statistics, more than half of Pakistan is affected by floods and millions of people have been rendered homeless as a result of flash flooding generated by abnormal monsoon rains, which have entered their 8th spell with no signs of subsiding.
Apparently, it's very bad, because we are still having a very high level of flood right now. You can see it, because I haven't ever seen this river running like in this situation. So, but on our part, we are trying our very best to do something for our public, for our properties, for their health, for their shelter, for their food.
The death toll caused by the rain spells and floods across the nations has risen to 982, along with 1,456 others injured as of Friday, the National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) said on Saturday. Food and relief items are being delivered to isolated areas where stranded people await assistance. Yet, the situation is still getting worse. Now, a man in the United States has broken a world record that's just a tad unusual. On Monday morning in Nebraska, 60-year-old Dwayne Hansen set out at around 7:30 a.m. to paddle the Missouri River. However, Hansen wasn't completing the voyage using a typical vessel. Instead, the Syracuse, Nebraska native traveled a 38-mile journey using a hollowed-out pumpkin weighing almost 400 kilograms. The trip took up at least 6 hours. Meanwhile, around 5 p.m., the Post was updated with the news that Hansen officially broke the world record earlier that afternoon. Another update was shared around 9 p.m., indicating Hansen safely completed his journey a few hours after breaking the world record. The post was shared across social media, where it racked up more than 100,000 likes and 8,000 retweets on Twitter, along with thousands of comments from people across the world cheering Hansen on, with others congratulating his achievements. Now wrapping up the Nightline, the Taliban administration has appealed for help from the international community after the death toll in Afghanistan reached 192 this month because of flooding. Local authorities said that thousands of livestock have died and 1.7 million fruit trees were destroyed, increased concerns on how families would feed themselves, going to colder months as the country also deals with economic crisis.
موادو یا کوم شي ته ضرورت دی هغه ده 1 میلیون څخه زیات کورنیو لپاره بیړنۍ مرستې ته فعلا و ضرورت شته هغه که البسه ده که سرپناه خیمې دي او که خوراکي مواد دي.
Afghanistan has also been hit by other natural disasters this year, including earthquake that killed more than 1,000 people in June.
د زلزلې نه وروسته او د دې سیلابونو وروسته موږ ډیرو مرضو سره رخ شو وجوهات دا و چې هلته به پاکې اوبه نه وي موجودې چا بیا په خپل ذات کې د نس ناستې د مرضو سبب وګرځېدل همدارنګه ځینې نور مرضونه لکه سینه بغل یا نمونیا په وړو ماشومانو کې وجوهات دا و چې دوی ته هغه معین ټمپریچر یا هغه د هوا یا د موسم د درجه حرارت نشتونوالی
Since the Taliban took over a year ago, Afghanistan have been cut off from the international financial system.
See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news update both locally and internationally. Just a click away by visiting our official website at tvstv.my or follow us on our social media platforms. That's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Handy Gui. Thank you for watching.